Hello and welcome. My name is Jocelyn and today we are doing a declutter type of video. I am planning on filming my makeup inventory here pretty soon, so usually before I film a makeup inventory I like to kind of go through my collection, declutter anything unnecessary, anything that I'm not really getting very much use out of, or new things that I've had a chance to test out and decided I don't want to keep in my collection. I've done a lot of really huge makeup declutters on my channel before. I will link my playlist down below in case you want to check it out and kind of see where my collection started, because at one point in time I had so many products. I had a pretty, I mean, not as big as, you know, the big beauty gurus, but I had a very sizable collection and I've whittled down quite a few of the categories quite a bit. Some categories I still have quite a few products in, like palettes and lip products, but in terms of like face products, so bronzers, concealers, foundations, primers, those kind of things, I don't really have that many items in. I've also been on a low buy this year and I've been project panning a lot, so this isn't going to be a ruthless declutter, but I am going to get rid of as much as I feel necessary to get rid of. I'm expecting there to be quite a few lip products that I'm going to be decluttering, not a lot of palettes. I haven't brought very many palettes into my life since my last declutter, so most of them already made it through one declutter, so that won't be very satisfying if you really love a ruthless palette declutter. But you can go check out some of my other videos if you really want to see a ruthless palette declutter, because I do have those on my channel. But today we are, I think, usually the way I film these declutter videos is I go category by category and each category gets its own video. But again, this is just kind of a clear out of bits and pieces from my collection, so I don't think that I'll have enough content to do it that way, which is fine. I don't declutter just to declutter, and again, I don't think I'm gonna have that much content to justify individual videos. If there is enough footage, I might split this into two separate videos. So if there's a part 1 in the title of this video, then you know a part 2 is coming. That means that I did enough and had enough footage to create 2 different videos worth, so I guess we'll see. I do keep most of my collection in the Alex drawers behind me. I also have a palette organizer back here, and I have a beauty box that I keep kind of my everyday sort of items in that I circulate through at the beginning of every month in a Shop My Stash style video. If you like declutter videos, I hope that you enjoy this one. I've got a ton of them on my channel. This one I expect will be a little less intense than other ones I've done in the past, but I already have kind of a decently curated collection, so maybe it will be satisfying to you in that way. And again, there are some categories that I think I am going to be a little bit more harsh on than maybe you're expecting or I'm expecting, I don't know. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started because I'm sure you're all very eager to see the content itself. All right, so where we are starting is in my foundation, concealer, primer, and powder drawer. As you can see, I really don't have that much in this drawer. Out of all of these, the most I have is in the foundation section, but even this really I don't feel is too many. But let's go ahead and get started. First, we're gonna start over here in the concealers. I'm not gonna be getting rid of any of these concealers. These are the only 3 that are in my shade, and they are all new to my collection. This one and this one I bought this year, and then this one I bought at the end of last year. So these are all good concealers. They all are in my shade at some point during the year, right? Like this one I use more during the winter, and then these, I think it's this one I've been using during the summer, and I'm not really sure. Nah, this one looks like it could be used at any point. Anyways, I only really have 3 concealers. This one right here is for when I do Alex's makeup. Alex is my husband, in case you don't know that. So I did buy this for him forever ago. He has agreed to do this video with me. We just haven't had a chance to sit down and film it. So this is not really included, but I am keeping this until we film that video, and then I will declutter it. So really I only have 3, you know, and then this one's for a whole nother purpose. So these 4 are staying. Let's go ahead and move on to foundations since they are right here. This right here is in a project pan, so I'm definitely keeping that. This is a obviously Tarte foundation. I'm keeping this. I've been wearing this a lot this summer. I've used a lot of this summer, and it works really well on my skin, even though I have very oily skin, and this is more of a hydrating type of foundation. This right here, I did receive this recently for free from Octoly to review, and I do like it, but my review of it essentially is that I think it works better, or would work better, for combo to slightly dry skin. And again, I have very oily skin. So I'm actually planning on wearing this tomorrow, and then if I decide that I think it would be a better fit for one of my friends who has more normal to dry, maybe even combo skin, then I'm going to pass it on to them, because I don't really want to hold on to something that I don't really love when I know somebody else could love it potentially. Because this is a good foundation. I really enjoy this. This is the 4-in-1 Love Your Selfie Longwear foundation and concealer. But again, it might not be my favorite. So by the time I film my inventory, I will have made a decision on this, or maybe I'll include some text on this screen of what my decision was. To make this short and sweet, I'm not getting rid of any of these foundations. This one I love. I bought this year. This CoverGirl one is, I think, my only drugstore foundation, and I really, really love this. This Cover FX foundation is another really good one, and it's actually really close to empty, but it is my winter shade, so this will be used up probably by the end of the year. And then this right here, this Estee Lauder foundation, I'm planning on project panning this after I finish this Kat Von D foundation, so both of these will be done out of my collection by the end of the year. So really, by the end of the year, I'm only expecting to have these 3 foundations left in my collection, assuming that we can film Alex's makeup video, and this is the other thing I'll be using on him because he has a much darker complexion than I do. So I'm not too mad about having, well, we're not going to count this one, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 foundations. I don't feel like 7 is an outrageous amount, especially when some of these are only my winter shade, not my summer and fall shade. And then again, 3 of these, this one, and this one will probably be used up by the end of the year. And these are all, except for this one, fairly new to my collection, so none of them are bad or anything. So that's where we're at with the foundation. Not too satisfying. Actually, I really don't think that I'm gonna be getting rid of much else in here. Oh, this is a BB cream I just recently purchased. Well, actually, I need to give this more of a try. It does settle into my pores a bit, but I never wear it on its own. Usually I wear it under something else. So this might get decluttered in a future video, but I only bought this within the last month and I don't feel like I've tried it enough. We're not gonna declutter this yet. This is one of my favorite primers ever, the Smashbox Photo Finish Smooth and Blur Primer. The Too Faced Hangover RX Primer I'm planning on using when I start to project pan the Estee Lauder foundation, just because this is a pretty heavy foundation and this is very hydrating. And then I just have 2 deluxe size samples of primers in here, so these are all staying. And again, this is one of my smallest categories, so I don't feel mad about that. And then finally, we have my measly powder collection. There's really not a lot in here. This I'm project panning. This is a ColourPop no filter powder. This is almost empty, and I think that I will well, you know what? I recently used this, and although there's not very much in here, I don't want to use it anymore. I didn't feel like it did anything for me anymore. When it was fresh, I really, really liked it, and it had a cooling effect on the skin. This is the Becca Hydra Mist Set and Refresh powder. When this is fresh, it is really, really good. But I think that when you get it, you have to completely use it up. You can't put it in your collection and let it sit for too long, or it loses its effectiveness. And that's what happened here. I feel good that I was able to use most of it, but I am going to go ahead and declutter this one. Just because I don't want to project pan it, because I don't really like it anymore. I did not anymore. And then I have this Hourglass powder that I bought at the end of last year. And then I have this Too Faced Born That Way powder. And it doesn't have a lot left in here, but this is one of my favorite powders. So we are left with only 3 powders. Alright, so I know that we didn't declutter much in this drawer, but as you can see, there's not really a whole lot in here, and I have a plan with most, if not everything that's in this drawer. A lot of it, or most of it, maybe even all of it, is fresh to my collection. There's nothing that's been in here save for this and this, but I have project pan plans for those items. So I feel actually this is fine. I'm fine with this. And we decluttered something, this right here, that I wasn't expecting to declutter. All right, so this drawer has quite a bit more in it. This is where I have my highlighters, blushes, bronzers, and face palettes. There's definitely areas in here where I have quite a few things. Highlighters, for example, which are over in this side over here. I really don't have that many bronzers. Let's actually go ahead and start there, because I only have, wait a minute, hold on. I almost forgot about this right here. I keep this in my bathroom. This is the Too Faced Soulmates Blushing and Bronzer Duos. This is the Ross and Rachel one. So I keep this in my bathroom because it has a really nice big mirror in there. So these are my 3 bronzers, not that many. I love this Marc Jacobs bronzer. I got this for Valentine's Day at the beginning of the year from Alex, so this is for sure staying. This right here, I am project panning, so we are gonna hold on to that. And then this I not only love because it is the Ross and Rachel collection, not that it should matter because you can't tell anywhere on here that it's a Ross and Rachel collection, but it also serves a purpose in my bathroom, and I can use this eventually when I pull it into my actual collection. So I only have 3 bronzers, which really that's like nothing to a lot of people. Next, let's go ahead and do highlighters real fast. These first 2 Ofra highlighters I'm keeping. I absolutely love these. One of them I got from Octoly. I think it was Pillow Talk. I think it was this pink one, and then Ulta was having a sale after I got this one, and I loved it so much that I bought this one right here. This one is Glazed Donut, a collab with Nikki Tutorials. I love them, I'm going to keep them. Another one of my favorites on the other end of the spectrum is the Kevyn Aucoin Neo highlighter in the Saharan Golden Glow. I really, really love this. This is a beautiful subtle highlight, absolutely keeping that. I probably shouldn't talk about every single item, but I might. Next we have the Mary Luminizer. This is an old classic of mine, and I've got a lot of pan in this, as you can see. Eventually, maybe I'll need to declutter this because it's been so old and sitting in my collection, but it still looks really good and packs. Oh man, now that I'm saying that, I'm second guessing myself. Because see, I'm swatching it, and like, I mean, there is a little bit of a glow there, but I just feel as though it's pretty subtle. And if I'm going for subtle, I usually grab for the Kevyn Aucoin Neo highlighter because it's fresher, it's newer, and I just really like that one. And I just kind of feel like, this is one of my OG highlighters, like it was for a lot of people. I've had this for many years. I don't see an expiration date or anything on here, but you know what? I think I'm gonna go ahead and declutter her just because, again, this is just an older product. When I swatch it, I just don't see a lot of payoff there. It's kind of powdery, so we're gonna go ahead and declutter her. These 2 front highlighters, we have the Kaja Mochi Glow highlighter in the shade Toy Alien and Fenty Beauty in Lightning Dust and Fire Crystal. These are both new to my collection and I love them, so they're for sure staying. Too Faced Love Light highlighter in Blinded by the Light. This was in a recent project pan of mine, and I really, really love this highlighter. Next, we have the ColourPop Super Shock highlighter in the shade On the Cusp. This is another one of my favorites, and it's also in a project pan, so that will be staying. And then finally, I have the Radiant Glow highlighter by IBY Beauty. This was a gift to me from one of you guys, so I'm definitely going to hold on to this. I actually probably just need to bring this into my collection in my next Shop My Stash so that I can get some use out of it. This is the Radiant Glow highlighter in Prosecco. Actually, let me just go ahead and take it out of here. All right, so she's staying also. And then finally, we have this Wet n Wild Mega Glow highlighting powder. I do really love this powder, but Wet n Wild is no longer cruelty free, and I swatched it next to a bunch of my other highlighters, and I did find some comparable dupes, so I just, you know, I just don't need it. I don't need it in my collection anymore. I used to rave about this and recommend it like no other, but because I have some dupes and it's not cruelty free anymore, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it along. All right, let's go ahead and move on to blushes. I don't know that I'll be getting rid of any of these. This Becca blush I recently got from TJ Maxx. It is in the shade Wild Honey. It is a really pretty blush. I obviously haven't used it because it's still in the packaging, but we're gonna keep that one. Also, I'm going to keep this MAC blush. This is obviously not cruelty free, but I really love this blush. If MAC could just go cruelty free, that would be great. Next, I have these two blushes right here. This is a Tarte blush in the shade Party. I project panned this recently. Really like this blush. It's a really, really good neutral peachy tone. This right here is a Ciate blush. The packaging on this is adorable, and it is in the shade In Too Deep. It is a glowy blush, but it has a purple undertone, as you can see. This is really pretty in the fall and winter time. I really like this blush a lot. Next, we have a NARS blush, also not cruelty free. This is in the shade Glue. I don't know, but I do really like this shade. It's a really deep wintry type of shade. Another brand I wish would go back to cruelty free. Also, definitely keeping this Hourglass blush. It is in the shade, I think, Mood Exposure. Yeah, Mood Exposure. Love Hourglass packaging, and I love their baked products. They just look so sleek, and so just, I like it. I like it, I like it, I like it. Okay, these last three. You know, this Milani blush has made it through a lot of declutters, and I remember holding on to it because it was like my only drugstore blush, but I just think I have other blushes that are a similar color. I don't need to hold on to this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that one go. And then I have these two Bare Minerals blushes. This one is in the shade Strawberry Cream. These are both powder blushes. That one's really pretty, but I kind of, let's see. Yeah, I don't think that I will get a lot of, I don't get a lot of use out of this one. I always am reaching for something else. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass this one along. And then this one right here is Golden Gate. Ooh, that one's pretty. I'm gonna go ahead and hold on to Golden Gate for a little bit longer. All right, so that takes care of blushes, highlighters, and bronzers. Let's move on to the face palettes, which are kind of all in here. First and foremost, we have my Hourglass palette. Definitely holding on to this. I love this so much. Down here, I have a Tarte. This is the Double Duty Beauty palette. This is a contour and highlight palette. I usually take this traveling with me. Then I don't have to bring a highlight or a bronzer contour shade because this fulfills that. Next, I have this Flowered Beauty palette. I actually need to bring this out this summer. I haven't done it yet. These are beautiful shades. Let me see if I can kind of, oh my gosh, do you see that? Wow, I mean, I don't know how well, ooh, right there. Look at how, oh, these are stunning. I wish that this space didn't exist. There was a brush that came in here, but it was a cheap brush that ended up being lost. I might have just thrown it away and don't remember, but these are gorgeous. Definitely keeping that. This right here, this is a Morphe blush palette. This is what the inside looks like. I like this. It is messy because I've been using it recently because I was testing it out. I'm not testing it out. I got this, I think, end of last year from Octoly, and I really like this, but I just feel as though I have other blushes that I'm always going to reach for over this, and I don't feel like it's getting the attention it needs in my collection. So I'd like to pass this along to one of my friends. It does have really, really beautiful shades in here. I mean, this is a bright shade, but used with a stippling brush, it goes on really nice. Next, we have the Shade and Light Kat Von D palette. I am project panning the two shades in here that work for me. Once those are project panned, I am going to get rid of the rest of the palette, but we're holding on to it for now. Then we have the NARS Stephen Klein palette. This is a, like, I think a holiday special a long time ago, and this is what the inside looks like. I will eventually, I think, get rid of this, but I do really like these blush shades. This shade works really well for me. The bronzers are okay. They're nothing special to me, but I do really like these blush shades. I would love to project pan this one day, but these blushes are very hard packed, so I think it would be really hard. So I don't know. We'll see it, but this is going to stay in my collection for now. We got a few more back here. This Jouer blush, I love this. I got this, I think, during the VIB sale last fall. It's Sephora. This is a beautiful, beautiful compact. Definitely keeping that. The Becca and Jaclyn Hill palette was in a recent favorite video of mine. I love this thing, so I will definitely be holding on to it. Okay, let's see. So this is the Francesca Tolo Ofra collection. This is the face palette. This was fine, but these are too dark for me. These blush shades I just don't think I'm going to pull for. I did get this for free from Octoly, so I'm not gonna sell it or anything, but I am gonna reach out to my friends and see if anybody wants it, just because I have so many things in that I love in my collection, and this was just a meh product to me and not something that I'm gonna get a lot of use out of. So I'm gonna go ahead and move this out of my collection. Next, we have my glow kit. This is the only glow kit I have by Anastasia. If I open it up, you can probably see which shades I use the most, which is these two over here. I am actually going to depot these two shades and put them into a magnetic palette and get rid of these two shades. I might offer it to friends first. I did buy this palette. Actually, Alex bought it for me when it was sad because I really liked this shade, which, I mean, you can see it's really beautiful, but it just doesn't look good on me. So I don't need to keep these. I'm gonna depot these because I really like these two shades right here, Summer and Moonstone, but I don't need to keep these two shades. Actually, let's go ahead and try and take care of that right. Oh, Wow, that was remarkably easy. Okay, we are keeping you, and we are keeping you. And the rest of this can be decluttered. And finally, we have this palette right here. This is a Tarte holiday collection. The Blush Bazaar, I think is what it's called. This is probably one of the best things I own from Tarte. I absolutely love it. This is what it looks like on the inside. The formula on these blushes, I love them. And there's 2 highlighters in here. This is also a really, really great travel item. I think that it's relatively compact, you know, it's pretty small. I mean, not small, but small enough. It's obviously keeping it. All right, and this is what this drawer looks like. Pretty slimmed down. I actually got rid of a couple more things than I was expecting in this drawer, so that feels pretty good. I feel like this whole area looks a lot better and not so cluttered. All right, there we go. Feel pretty good about this. All right, so we are into my palette drawer. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I haven't brought like any palettes into my collection this year since I did my last declutter, so I'm not going to be getting rid of most, if not any, of the palettes in here. There are some palettes that are kind of on, I guess you could say, like a chopping block. Ones that I just haven't gotten too much use out of, so I don't really know how I feel about them totally. So I really need to actually work on those to get a better idea. But like these 2 palettes on top, for example, these are 2 of the oldest palettes in my collection, but I'm project panning them right now. So the Too Faced Natural Eyes palette, you can see that there's a ton of pan in here. I will probably declutter this by the end of the year, but for now, I want to get a little bit more use out of it. It's still hanging in there. And then the Naked 3, kind of the same story. I'm project panning this year, and I'm trying to hit pan in all of the shades except these last 2. So I'm holding on to this for now, but eventually I will declutter the shades out of here. Okay, well let's go ahead and just, I guess, go through them. Naked Cherry and Naked Heat are 2 of my favorite palettes. I love them so much. Original Naked was a gift to me, I think last year, from one of my best friends. I haven't used it too much, but it is still in great condition. It's still fairly new, so, and I feel like it's a very classic palette to have, so I'm gonna hold on to that one. The Sweet Peach, I absolutely love. The Too Faced, I always feel about it, and then every time I use it, I absolutely love the looks that I come up with it. So we're gonna keep both of those. Modern Renaissance, I still have a good time with, so we'll hold on to her. Norvina is a beautiful, one of my favorite palette. Well, I don't want to call it a favorite palette, but I really love this palette a lot, so both of those are staying. The Master Palette by Mario. This is one of the ones that I feel like I need to bring in to my collection and use a bit. If you look at the shades in here, you can see that I've done some damage on them. I think I'm gonna bring this into my Shop My Stash next month so that I can play around with it and just make sure, you know, there's a few in here as I'm going through this that I'm like, you know what, I feel like I like this. And when I look at it, I like it, but when I use it, do I like it? So this is gonna go into like a purgatory bin. Let's put it up here for now. Next, we have the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk palette. I like this palette. Do I think that you need it? Absolutely not. I feel like there is a lot of products out there that are just as good. These are very expensive. I do like it. I'm glad I have it, but it is, again, very, very expensive for good quality, but I'm gonna keep her. The It Girl palette, I did get this for Christmas from my grandma this last year. It's a very unique, very interesting palette, but it's another one that I've gotten barely any use out of, so I need to pull this in. Maybe I'll pull this one in too to get some use out of. It has kind of a weird combination of shades. It's got a lot of cool tone mattes on this side, and then like a couple cool tones over here, and then warm tones. So I'm a little confused by this palette, but the few times that I have used it, I've really enjoyed it. The shades perform very beautifully, so I'm gonna go ahead and hold on to this. Again, I'm sorry, this part's probably pretty disappointing, but again, I like most of these. Both my Tarte palettes, I'm going to keep. The Tartelette Toasted, I love the mattes in here, but I will agree with like everybody else. The shimmers are kind of disappointing. Fortunately, most of the shades in here are matte shades, but like, that one, this one in particular down here, they're just, I mean, that looks nice. Well, it looks chunky. That's chunky.
I mean, that one's okay, but it's not like wha-bam beautiful. So these two are super disappointing. I haven't really used that one too. Okay, that's a beautiful shade. Holy moly. What about this one? And that one's kind of lackluster. That's a beautiful shade, but like these three shades are very meh. Again, the mattes in here though are beautiful, and that's why I reach into this palette. This shade's really pretty, that shade's really pretty. I haven't really used this dark matte with glitter in it, but I mean, it's fine. So, I mean, I'm definitely gonna keep this palette. I think that the mattes in here are gorgeous, and then I like the Tartelette in Bloom quite a bit. I get a lot of good use out of this. ColourPop palettes. Give It To Me Straight is a beautiful, right up my alley kind of palette. Definitely gonna keep this one. Dream Street, it's very, very messy. This is one that I like this palette a lot. Yeah, I like this palette a lot. Definitely gonna keep that one. And Zodiac for sure keeping. Oh yeah, love the Zodiac. And I just love the packaging of this. ColourPop Disney Designer Collection, definitely gonna hold on to this. I love this packaging. I will probably keep this forever even after it has expired, just because I love the design on it so much. All right, here is the partner palette to the face palette we just decluttered. This is the Francisca Tolote and Ofra collaboration eye palette. These are removable, and you know, I'm gonna go through these and see, because there might be some in here that I want to keep, like maybe one of these top 3 shades. I mean, I'd almost rather just see if a friend wants this, just because I don't want to like pull shades out of there and then give them half a palette. So I might reach out to some friends and see if they want it. This was given to me for free, so I'm not going to sell it or anything like that, but I'm going to reach out to some friends and see if they'd be interested in having this. I'm like halfway out of frame, I apologize, but it's just not something that really speaks to me, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that one. The Manny and Makeup Geek palette, I almost thought about decluttering this one just because it's kind of old in my collection, but I really, really like these shadows. I really, really like them, and I almost also thought about depotting it, but what I think I'm actually going to do is I think I might make this my pan that palette or use it in some kind of project pan next year. I think that we are going to have to split this into 2 videos again, just because I still have single shadows and lip products and then my beauty basket. So this Tarte palette, definitely keeping. I love this. This is my Lethal Cosmetics palette that actually should go in the single shadow bin, just because these are single shadows. We have my 2 Huda Beauty palettes. I absolutely love Coral Obsessions, and then Gemstones. Oh, I just dug my finger into that. Whoops. Is a really beautiful little palette. Definitely keeping both of my Dose of Color palettes. These are gorgeous. This Ofra palette, it's a really beautiful shimmery neutral palette. I really love this. This is just, oh, delicious. And then I have these Viseart palettes. These are other ones that I really need to get more familiar with. They're beautiful, expensive palettes, but I've hardly used them. So these are ones that I definitely need to try more of and get some more use out of. This is my Lunar Beauty palette. I am going to definitely hold on to this because I really like the quality of those shadows. This Tarte palette, Be a Mermaid, Make Waves, is one of my favorite Tarte palettes. It's absolutely beautiful. Natasha Denona is the one palette I bought this year so far. Definitely holding on to her. Both of the Juvia's Place palettes I am holding on to. I like the formula of these shadows a lot. So these are staying, and you know, the last 2 are also staying. So we have the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette and the Violet Voss Pro eyeshadow palette. This was gifted to me by a subscriber, and I was so extremely grateful. I also need to break this one out a little bit more and play around with it. So maybe this fall I'll make sure to bring that in. Okay, so that, I only got rid of 1, but again, I didn't expect to really get rid of any. And now I've got a few on the chopping block that I just need to get a little bit more familiar with. Oh my gosh, I have really made a mess of this drawer.
Alright, so I think I'm gonna wrap up part 1 right there. I know I had to restart filming a couple different times, which means I've got quite a little handful of footage right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and chop part 1 off right there, and then we're gonna start up with, I think I have one drawer of nail polishes that I wanted to declutter a few things maybe out of, and then we'll move on to single shadows, which I know I've got some that I want to declutter, and then lip products, which I think I've got a fair amount that I want to declutter, and then I've got a few things in my beauty box that I want to declutter. So I've got my little pile started over here with things that we've already gone through and decided to get rid of, and you know, there's a nice little bit right there. It'll make a difference in my makeup inventory. I hope that you enjoyed part 1. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to subscribe to not miss part 2 or not miss my makeup inventory, in that makeup inventory I will compare my last makeup inventory with the new one, so you can see kind of how my collection has changed over the past about 7 months. So if you're interested in that, please consider subscribing. All buttons are down below. And I think that is everything I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.